Hello, my name is Luke, and today I want to tell you about Hive Pocket. By the name that you can tell, it fits in your pocket, and I've described it in the past as being like playing chess with a bag of bugs. Now, those of you who actually play chess to a lot higher level than I do, I'm sure you're going to say that this is nothing like playing chess, because okay, it's not really like playing chess, but there's some strategy involved, and there's some trying to think how your opponent might move, and you have to think a few moves ahead in the game in order to make your strategic decisions. And so in that way, I do consider it pretty chess-like, but it probably will not win you Grandmaster status if you get really good at it. That being said, let's go ahead and explain what the game is all about. On a given turn, you'll do one of two things. You'll either take one of the bugs that you have out here, either insects or spiders. You'll take one of these bugs and move it into play, or you'll take a bug that's already in play and move in its special way that they can move. The goal of the game is to surround the other person's queen bee. I missed one. My queen bee was still in the bag. So the goal is to try to surround the other person's queen bee. The very first turn, you'll each choose one bug to bring out. And then from that point on, you will either take a bug and add it to the hive by having it touching only your same color, or you will take a bug that you already have on there and move in its particularly special way. This grasshopper, for instance, the way it moves is in a straight line. It jumps over as many bugs as there are in a row. If all of these bugs were all in place, then it would still, to jump, it would go in a straight line, it would jump over all the different bugs and end up on the other side. We would never actually end up in this particular configuration, because by the fourth turn, you have to have your queen bee as part of the mix. So let me just get rid of some of these. If we started out, the first turn I brought out the ant and my opponent brings out a beetle. Second turn I bring out the grasshopper and they bring out the ladybug. Maybe I bring out a spider and they bring out a mosquito. On this fourth turn, I would have to bring out my queen bee, and so would they, because in the first four turns, somewhere in those first four turns, you have to have the queen bee out. This being said, let me explain the different movement actions that you can choose with your different kinds of bugs. I already explained the grasshoppers. They can jump in a straight line over as many other insects as there are in a row. But if there's any gaps, like right here, if they jumped, they would fall into that gap. They can't jump all the way over. That being said, this grasshopper could not leave because it would split the hive. If this grasshopper came out, now there's two groups, and you cannot split the hive. And so he would have to stay right there. The spider, on the other hand, could move. And the way a spider moves is they move along the outside of the hive, and they move 3 spaces, no more, no less. So they could move 1, 2, 3 spaces, or they could move 1, 2, 3 spaces. Either way, 1, 2, 3, they move on the outside of the hive. Queen bee also moves on the outside of the hive, but they only move 1 space at a time. They can go this way or that way, only 1 space at a time. If they ever find themselves trapped like this, where you could not slide out, If the mosquito was over here, the queen bee could slide out and go either there or over here. But if the queen bee or any other bug that has to move around the outside, if they ever only had this much of a gap, they could not get out. All right, so we talked the grasshopper jumps, the spider moves around the outside, the queen bee moves around the outside, the beetle moves one space, just like the queen bee. They can move on the outside, just like the queen bee, or they can move their one space up. So they can be on top of the hive. Then on their next turn, if they want, they can be on this side, or they can just stay on top and make it so that the opponent insect underneath them could not make a move. They would have to just stay there, trapped by that beetle. The ladybug is a special kind of beetle, and it will move 2 on top of the hive and then 1 on the bottom. So it would be able to climb up on top. 1, 2, 3. So 2 on top, and the third move has to go back down onto the table. The ant can move along the outside, and they can move anywhere they want as long as they can slide into that position. Again, if we had a setup like this, the ant could only make it to there. They could not get into here because that way is blocked. And I believe all we have left is the mosquito, and the mosquito is special because it can take the movement style of any bug it is attached to. So since it's right next to the ant, he could get up and he could move anywhere he wanted. If he's right next to the ladybug, he can move 1, 2, and then down. Now the one exception is if this mosquito is next to the beetle and the mosquito crawls up onto something else on top of the hive, then the mosquito will continue moving as a beetle until it takes a turn where it goes down back to table level. At that point, it can start copying the moves of whatever it is attached to. I believe we've got all the different movements explained, and so we're going to do a little playthrough video in just a moment. Okay, let's rock, paper, scissors for who goes first. Ready? Okay. 1,
Rock,
2,
paper,
3.
scissors, shoot.
Okay, so I get to go first. Since it's the 4th one, I've got to put my queen bee out there.
Spiders move exactly 3 spaces.
Yep.
1, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Jumping over to there. Maybe I didn't think this all the way through. Not that one. Drop down the hole. I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, I do know why I'm doing this, but it's a failed strategy. My whole goal was just to get this guy to be able to jump out. But now my queen is still trapped.
Can the ant fit further in?
I don't think so.
So ladybug, 1, 2.
And then one down. One, two, down in there.
One, two, three. One.
Nice. Right there.
One, two, three.
Oh, well, that took away my plans. So Mosquito's going to use the grasshopper power and jump there. I think we might have just both lost. We both got surrounded in the exact same amount. I think we both lost just now. Let's look in the book. That's never happened to us before. Alright.
Well, if you kept your queen away from mine as is proper.
Uh-huh. Alright, the person whose queen bee is surrounded loses the game unless their last piece to surround their queen bee also completes the surrounding of the other queen bee. In that case, the game is drawn. Well, there we go. Good job. Alright, after the first game being a draw, we're going to have a rematch. Do you want to go first? I was thinking if I go here, I could try to move him out, but if I go here, you're just going to fill in the hole, and I won't be able to get out. So I'm not going to do that. Well, that's less than good. That's also less than good. Nope, you could still slide in from those spots. Just pull one more guy out there. And you won. Good job.